For our feasible strategy, it's important to work on a strategic plan for development and monitoring implementation. So, according to Lin and Juan 2009, it's important to work in systems planning model to fulfill the Kyoto Protocol, which was established by United Nations Framework Convention in order to reduce greenhouse gas emission. So I proposed this table that I find absolutely necessary to develop and bear in mind in the local and national government in China. So there is an objective for the strategy, which is to reduce the net national greenhouse gas emissions in China by 50% by 2040. And I propose two indicators. The first, the main, is the outcome indicator with baseline and target by 2040, and the output indicator, again, with baseline and also target for 2040. So I defined as a variable, very important one, the tons of carbon dioxide equivalence. And what does it mean? So it means that greenhouse gas emissions from carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and other gases are summed up and are measured in tons of carbon dioxide equivalents, where equivalents mean having the same warming effect as CO2 for over a period of 100 years. So the outcome indicator is that is the amount of tons of carbon dioxide equivalents. The baseline for 2018, which is the information I found by Ritchie and Rosser 2020, is 11.71 GT, and the target by 2040 is to get the 50% of reduction. So the idea is to get 5.82 GT. And we need to think about an output indicator. So the output indicator is tons of carbon dioxide equivalents produced by energy sector. Why? Because the strategy formulated is it's based on energy sector. So we have a baseline which is 10.32 GT, as we can see on the chart, and the target is to reduce it. And I was measuring with some percentage what was the ideal amount or percentage to decrease, and it's 44%. That means 5.93 GT, because if we try with another percentage, for example 45, it should be 6.034, or if we try with maybe 50%, it's going to be 6.55. So it's more. Of course, if we can decrease more than that, the amount I mentioned on the table, it's much better. But the idea for getting that reduction of 50%, it's to decrease the energy production to 5.93 GT. And as we can see also in the chart, the energy sector represents 88% of the total amount, and the other sectors we have industrial processes, agriculture, waste, and land use change, and forestry represents 1.39. So okay, we can also bear in mind, this is very important, that for any strategy we develop in a country, in this case in China, it's important to work on public policy on the efficient use of energy in the case of our specific strategy, because without public policies we are not going to have a north and we are not to have a pathway to follow. Then it's important to create that public policy and also to define the indicators for the public policy. The table I present here is specifically for the action plan and for the indicative plan, because always when we work on those kind of plans, it's important to measure with indicators. And those plans are for budget and for public resources and management resources. And finally, after we create those plans, it's important to work on strategies for monitoring and assessment. Could be every 3 months. Every 3 months, we can see if all the actions and all the activities proposed in the action plan are fulfilling or not the target and the ideal amount we established for the tons of carbon dioxide equivalents. And I present here also three important aspects. Is the first one is cost, the second governance, and the third is security. Cost, why? Because as we saw before, the most important is to see that if we have an inversion, it could be economic. So that's why we tried always to do the balance between environment cost, environment profit, environment economic development. So uh, it's important for getting this reduction. Always think about a strategy that can mean for the government a less reduction. A less inversion of the for the specific sector we defined, which is energy. So uh, if we invest less than we are investing currently with the current system, it's going to be better for keeping money and invest that money, that the other money in